underneath it was the choice of Eluned Morgan here this morning. It's Ask Eluned live on a Wednesday morning here on Pure West Radio, our representative for Mid and West Wales in the Senedd. Bore da.
Bore da.
It's lovely to see you again. I've been off for a couple of weeks, but here we are. And what I imagine is a busy old time we were just talking off air there, the financial year, the budgets, the election, everything kind of comes to a point at this time of year, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really busy, but it's a good busy. And, certainly last week was one of those weeks where you really feel things are moving on and are happening. A lot of pressure from all sides, but trying to get the balance right, particularly now coming up to an election, between, running the country, making sure things are happening, locking things down that we said we were going to do, and then getting out again in the constituency, making sure that I get to meet as many people as possible. And that's been great. I've been doing lots of that in Pembrokeshire recently.
Yeah, because, of course, whenever we see politicians on the news, it's always either in the chamber, it's in meetings, it's very much a bit of a suit and looking smart and presenting cases. But actually, you're elected by us. You're there because of the people that live on our streets, our friends and our neighbours. We're the ones that cast the votes that get you there in the first place.
Yeah, and it's been great. I've been visiting lots of schools recently and just trying to encourage young people to vote, because for the first time, 16-year-olds will be allowed to vote, and just explaining to them, look, on election day, you're as powerful as I am. That your one vote is as powerful as mine, and you're in the driving seat. And, just encouraging people to use it. Democracy is an incredible thing. It doesn't happen everywhere in the world. So that's why I think it's really important that people use their vote, because you're the people who shape what happens in our country and determines the direction. We set out, look, this is what we want to do, but you're the ones who decide we want to go in a particular direction. And I just think that's really powerful for the people in our communities. I just hope that they use the opportunity, particularly young people, because we're the only ones who've allowed 16-year-olds to vote. And, I want to prove that we're right to trust them.
Yeah, I think it's great. And this time, what you're going to find more and more from all of the political parties who want your vote in the Senedd is that their policies are going to be released in the run-up to those elections. So go out, do a little bit of research. What I love in this kind of social media age is that gone are the days where you still get it, the policy book. Here's what we'll do in all the details and all the bullet points. But actually, you can find very condensed versions of what each party's doing. So go out and exercise your democratic right. That's why you're currently in the Senedd, and there's been some wonderful news and bills being passed in the last last week or so.
Yeah, no, there's lots going on and lots of announcements. And certainly one of the things we did this week, we gave out our first baby bundles. So you've just missed out on that, Tom.
I know.
So yeah, we're giving out. It's targeted at poorer areas because we haven't got enough money at the moment to do it for everyone, and that's obviously what we'd like to do. But to help people off right at the start when their baby is born, it was wonderful to see to go and present that to a woman in Newport. The delight on her face. Because starting out, you've just been through it, Tom. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you need. And having that little help, no judgment, I think that says a lot about our values in terms of us as a Labour government. And then the other things we've been doing, we've been doing a lot on housing. So, it is expensive now for people to pay rent and to find a home. So we're really keen to make sure that we change that, and that's why we had a target of building 20,000 homes in 5 years. Now, if you think about what's happened during the past 5 years, we had the end of COVID, we had the just coming out of Brexit was happening, inflation went through the roof at Ukraine war, and we've still managed to hit those targets. So we're on course to hit those targets. So that's remarkable, and it absolutely outshines anything that's going on in England. So that is really good news. So there's a whole load of things going on. And you might have seen yesterday, Tom, that we made a new announcement on business support. For so we've had lots of people say, look, our high streets are struggling, our pubs are struggling. And so what we've done, about 50% of pubs are supported and helped with their what they call non-domestic rates, their kind of local tax. And 25% of pubs don't pay anything at all. But there were a lot of pubs saying, listen, actually, it's still tough out there. What happened is during COVID, we helped them out a lot. We gave a lot of support to pubs, and quite rightly so, far more than they got in England. And obviously what we're doing now is we're tapering off that support, because obviously very few people went to pubs during that time, and now they're going back. There's also come at a time when there's re-evaluation of the value of the homes, and it's kind of coming at the same time. So yesterday we announced that we're going to give a 15% extra support to pubs as well. But the point I was trying to make in the Senedd yesterday was, look, actually we've got to use our pubs and our high streets. So I think that's quite right, because government can't go in and do, we've all got, if we upset about our rundown high streets, we've got to ask ourselves, how much are we spending online? There is a relationship there, and I'm guilty, we're all guilty. So we've got to step in there as well and do our piece, I think. But giving that extra support, I hope, will help pubs, but also we've gone further than England. We're giving that support also to restaurants as well. So pleased that we're able to do that as well.
Yeah, the governments and grants and these discounts can only go so far, but if there's still no income going into the coffers in the first place, it's just a spiral, isn't it? Although there's one great example in Milford Haven where me and Abigail have been a few times now, and it feels like the pub is becoming that focal point of that community again. We go in there, there's people from all sorts of different generations on the pool table, playing darts, watching the rugby, and it's just a really nice place to be. And that's what I remember the pubs when I was growing up. My family was in the hospitality trade in Little Haven, and that it was the focal point. It's where you went, even if for no real reason. It was just where you convened as a community, and it's been lovely actually going back to Milford Haven and seeing that in different places. But as you quite rightly say, if we want to see things regenerating, they do need us to play that little bit of a part.
Well, yeah, I try and pay a visit on the weekends. It is funny though, last night I came home and I got a text from my husband, and it said, "Gone to the pub as instructed by the First Minister." So I thought that was quite funny.
I think that's where Gina's gone to as well. So if it's said in the Senedd, then you must do so. Responsibly, of course. And also a bit of a full circle moment. I saw a picture of you proudly holding up a bill. One of the first things that we ever talked about was to do with water in Pembrokeshire. We've got blue flag beaches, we've got green flag beaches. We are recognized across Europe as having some of the finest beaches in the world, and yet they sometimes end up muddied and slurried. But you've passed a bill which is hopefully going to start turning the tide on that.
So what we've done is we've announced a new plan that will, if we're in government next time, lead to a bill. And because people really care, particularly in Pembrokeshire, about our coastlines and our countryside. And things have changed. The kind of infrastructure that we had before has been around for a long time, and climate change is making a big difference. And of course, we've brought in some rules in the past to, for example, try and tighten up on agricultural waste. And we were the only party that supported that in the Senedd. But we think we've probably got to go further if we want to clean our rivers. And it's particularly true in the kind of Milford Haven area. So we want to see stronger regulation, better accountability, making sure our environment and our rivers and streams are protected properly. I think this is something lots of people in Pembrokeshire have been calling for. And what we've done now is to make sure that we tighten up those rules, and we'll bring in a new bill if we're elected in May. And make sure there's ring fencing to go after, ring fence money to go after those people who are breaking the rules.
There you go. You've heard it here on your breakfast show on Pure West Radio. It would be nice to go into our seas and our rivers with that confidence, wouldn't it? How I imagine that this time of year, we alluded to, it's a busy time. We're trying to tick those promises off. The next couple of days, I imagine, is full.
Yeah, no, it's always full, but I've had some really great visits in Pembrokeshire recently. Also, I went to the Pembroke Dock Age Cymru chair yoga group recently, and it was just lovely. There's a room full of ladies who were, doing their best to keep fit, to get together. It was just such a lovely atmosphere, environment, lots of people having fun. And it's about staying well. And it was lovely to see them doing that. And I also visited Ysgol Harry Tudor, of course, one of the new schools that we've built. It was great. I met lots of the pupils there, the ones in particular over 16, encouraging them to vote, but also taking questions for them. And I just found it really encouraging. They were switched on and thoughtful. I visited the food bank in Pembroke Dock as well. And I just think it's always sobering to remind ourselves of the pressure on lots of families. And of course, it would be better if we didn't need these places. But thank goodness we've got these remarkable people and volunteers helping out. Really a lifeline for a lot of people. And what was good is that the Citizens Advice Bureau is there as well. Mm-hmm. So not only can you go in for food, but you can go and get advice on where to get help with your benefits and all of those kinds of things. And I also went to Milford Haven School, and that was amazing because the outline business case for a brand new school for Milford Haven has just passed. So a lot of excitement in that school because it is a bit run down. And it's one of the areas where we're really proud of what we've done. We've got new schools across a lot of Pembrokeshire, and it's Milford Haven's turn. So I do hope again that people will recognise that we've recognised that. It was good to be there with Paul Miller, of course, from the council, and to meet staff and the pupils, but bringing that community school, which will be available for the community. It's not going to happen overnight, but the plans are there. So this is really exciting, I think, for Milford Haven. It was great. And I would also just bumping into people in the shops and having lovely chats with them. That's what I like best.
That sounds great. You mentioned Citizens Advice there. We're talking government and policies and legislation, free independent advice from Citizens Advice should you ever need it. You can just drop them a message. And isn't it great? You're handing out baby bundles for the first time ever. Some of those are going to grow up and go to that brand new school. It's fantastic.
That is lovely.
Eluned Morgan, thank you so much for joining us as ever on a Wednesday morning. We'll do it again, another catch up next week, find out the other places that you've been and what's being passed as we get towards the end of this cycle of government. You've got another song for us though, which I also love.
I have Chic. Anything by Chic is wonderful, and I love a little bop. So off we go. Let's do the good times.
The good times on the way next here on Pure West Radio. It's Wonderful Wednesday, Price and Kelway solicitors here on your breakfast show with Folly Farm. Eluned Morgan, MS for Mid and West Wales. Thank you so much for joining us.
Diolch yn fawr.
Wonderful Wednesday, sponsored by Price and Kelway solicitors.